Okay, we're live. Ryan Steinelson here with Accelerate Marketing. We help businesses grow by $50,000 to $100,000 a month by digital marketing or more through digital marketing strategies, which would include local service ads optimization and Google Business Profile optimization. We've been doing it for over 15 years with thousands of businesses. And, today we're going to be doing something really different and unique. We're going to be working with artificial intelligence to accomplish what I just mentioned, to help business owners like Dr. Rob make magic happen. And the magician in the room is S. Lee.
Oh yeah.
Hey everyone, I'm S. I'm the owner of Messages Improved, which is a platform that allows you to build AI agents that can text message on SMS. Since I met Ryan, we've kind of expanded into the voice space, and we have a very special guest with us, Dr. Robert McNeil, who's a life coach, all-around extraordinary human being who and said, hey, like I've always wanted to have AI do some of my coaching business, right? And I came across your website where I saw your bot and chatted with your bot, and I've been waiting years for this technology to be around, and it looks like you did it. So can you help me figure out how to build a bot for my business? So we thought, it'd be like the best first guest to do this live with us would be Robert.
Yeah. And Robert, if you want to introduce yourself, I'm gonna bring in Josh in 1 second. But before we do, so Josh is standby. Dr. Rob, go ahead and introduce yourself, and then we'll bring Josh in.
Not a problem at all. My name is Robert McNeil. I have a PhD in clinical sociology, so I've been a life coach for the past 10 years. And in that time, I'm also like an entrepreneur, of course. So I've always thought about, like, how can I multiply myself? What can I do so that I'm making money in my sleep, right? That's the whole idea of everything. So when I first found out about AI, I was like, wow, okay, chatbot. Wow, so is there a way, because I'm just thinking out here dreaming, I'm like, is there a way that maybe I could clone myself in a way that it could respond like I respond, and then people would kind of get the same experience, but then I could be doing other things. So I went on a midnight bender down the rabbit hole
which is where most of our
Google.
traffic ever comes. It's just in the middle of the night.
Well, by the way, that's exactly how I found S as well. I did it a little bit easier. I didn't quite do a bender, but I just literally went, messages AI or messaging AI or AI messaging or best AI messaging. And he came up at the top for all those searches. So I'm like, this guy must be something. Like whoever this text may is or this message improved thing, like they must have something going on, And so I'm like, all right, let's see who this guy is,
Yes, that's what got me all the way. And I was looking at some other things, and but then when I compared what S had to what these other websites had as far as coaching goes, AI, and I was like, no, that looks like a Tonka toy or something. Like that looks like Fisher Price type of stuff. And compared to what he had, I was like, no, that's not working. So so then we got to meet up, and ever since then, man, we've been fast buds, because this guy is like a genius, and I just like seeing all the possibilities. So I'm like, wait a minute, now you're doing this, now you're adding voice, and now you're doing all these other things. So I just want to be along for the ride. It's really been great.
Awesome. Well, that's what the whole goal of this is today. We're gonna have a workshop, because we were just going live, and Josh, who's in the waiting room, has been experiencing, we've had people like him that have heard what we're talking about, and we're like, you know what? Why don't we just make this a reality for people instead of talking about it? Let's just show people how quick and easy it is. And we're building this out, we're building the plane as we're flying, and because it's all so new, and things are happening so quickly. I think the best way that we can really help people understand while helping them actually do something that's meaningful is to have these type of workshops. We're going to have them once a week on Wednesdays, and then who knows, we might just do this daily, depending on the success that we have, and And by the way, it's going to improve. Like even next week, we're going to have a much more streamlined process, even more so than today. So with that, I'm going to bring Josh in. 1 second. Okay. There he is.
Hello, everyone. How are you today?
Hey,
Hello, Josh. How are you?
Hey, sir. Hey, Dr. Rob. Nice to meet you.
Same here.
Yeah.
So Josh, give us a little bit of a background on, you heard Dr. Rob, what his story. What's yours?
So I'm a former Wall Street guy, Lehman Brothers, way back in the day.
Yeah.
Carl Icahn underwriting days, U.S. Steel days and such. And, the training that I received, I was a young man. I was 18 years old. I was actually the youngest broker at Lehman Brothers. I became a symbol of the culture. I came there, a blank chalkboard with skills and, the chutzpah.
Yeah.
And I was able to immerse myself into the culture to a point where I represented the culture so well, they didn't want me to leave. So in actuality, and I'm not bragging, it's just a story that contains what's important to us.
Right.
I adopted it so well. Ordinarily, they would make you leave once you got licensed, go prove your abilities, come back. I was so representative of the Lehman calling communication system and the energy bond. They didn't want me to leave. They wanted me to train brokers coming in from other firms and stuff in my presence. But the salesmanship there, these were the top producing brokers in the world that had the biggest client books in the world. A minimum transaction of $10,000 back in 1989.
Yeah.
This kid, son of a mailman, I'm getting it.
Yeah.
They were sending me the bread. It was a very interesting process, but I learned the psychology of sale, the nuances of sale, and everything surrounding it. And it was such an incredible sales force that I often see it adopted throughout the industry now. And, I've taken it with me. From there, I was in consulting for many years. I was doing deals. I brought a couple of companies public that I was engaged in. And then I got into web development out of pure curiosity. I liked it.
Yeah.
So I taught myself WordPress,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
And I started developing. But now the development was more an artistic creation, certainly from a fundamental basis and structurally. So, and then the SEO is really what began to intrigue me more. And I'm able to take something with 20,000 search results and get position one on Google, organically.
Yeah.
And, I can show you representations of that. And I have a site I just did a few weeks ago that now the top 3 positions for 10 different searches. And again, as a local company, this is of the utmost importance that, that Google gives that credibility in the consumer's eyes and so on. So, that and from this point, certainly my interest has spread into AI, the technology there, the nuances in the language and the communication, and those subtleties that are so important to create the right response, to get the right information, get the data, reduce their stress, open them up to communication. Doesn't matter if I'm saying it, if S is saying, Ryan, or yourself, Dr. Rob, it's the wording, the timing, perhaps, the nuance, and that's going to get the job done. If I may, the product that you're speaking of, I had a friend several years ago who's a psychologist, I believe, and I wanted to make, we'll call him Jim. I told him, let's make Pocket Jim. Pocket Jim, much like you're looking to do, and have the opportunity to do that or be involved in it. When I thought about it so many years ago, it's just thrilling. I think that's so much fun.
And you can build that, especially with the ability that we have with a knowledge base. I mean, you can basically brain dump from content like this, for example. If you've got a lot of YouTube videos, you just get them transcribed. You upload the PDF or the Google Doc or the TXT file, and that knowledge base is now built around Dr. Rob's white papers that he's created, which is really the way that you specifically see your specific, part of the universe and what you do. And you have a specific way of accomplishing the goals that only Dr. Rob has versus, anybody else. And that can be replicated and be made to be very easy for people to have access to, like you said, in somebody's pocket. As long as somebody can text or email or call, they can have a conversation and be taken through Dr. Rob's 3R formula or whatever it is for getting from point A to point B, like we have for Google local service ads. If you're a Google local service ads business, like I talked to this morning, a guy that's a window and door guy up in the Northeast near where you're at, Josh, and he's like, hey, I really need some help here, and he doesn't understand the 3R formula. He can actually call my coaching agent and get any question answered, both in terms of the process that I use, and also basically all of Google's documentation. So basically, Google has not created this yet. This is the opportunity for realtors, for example. So Google has not created an agent around all of the intricacies that somebody can go to of the local service ads platform, so that somebody can go, okay, is window and doors an available vertical for Burlington, North Carolina? Well, the only way that you'd be able to know is if you went to their website and tried to find that information, but you could just ask an agent and it would tell you if you've uploaded that PDF or you've scraped the LSA website that has all that information on it. Now it's easy. It's easily accessible. So that's what we're talking about, and that's the power of it. So I mean, and your interest, Josh, I guess, is in what? Is it in building one for yourself or using the embed code on somebody on your website?
My interest lies in helping people with the nuances of the language. I'm what I would consider a high-level salesperson. Whether I'm trying to sell windows and doors or if I'm trying to convince somebody to register something, for instance. There's specific languages that will create responses, and you can walk somebody through a process and take them in the back door without them even knowing it. Their shoulders are dropped. I'm hitting them with all they know is C, D, and E is going on, and I'm reaching my objective without perhaps they're even being aware of it. Now, in essence, there's a manipulative factor to it, but there is a manipulative factor in all sales, and having an objective is achievable.
Yeah, and that's where I think it's interesting for the business owner to have control of this, and for us to show the business owner how to create this. Because again, I can on the technical side say, hey, this is how I train up an agent. Here's a prompt that I give it, right? But I'm not going to know the intricate nuances of what you say to that person to get them to do the thing that you want them to do, right? So for Robert, the things that how he talks to his client, and for Josh, how you might do sales, right? And so I think this might be a good time for me to kind of show my screen and show how the sausage is made. And I'll do that now, and let me know if you can see it as I pop that up. So I got two screens. I'll be looking on the other one, but let's see. We're here, right? Okay, so this is our platform, messagesimproved.com. So you can basically go there and follow along. I'm just going to skip into my account, or one of my accounts, where I can just show you once you do a login, a sign up. It's it's all for free. You sign up with the email, and then as soon as you sign in, it's going to take you to a screen. Yours is going to be blank, where you go, I'm going to create a new AI, right? And we've made the process so easy. You could do this in 5 minutes, and this is doing the messaging agent. And so let's use Dr. Rob as an example, right? Let's just call him Robert AI, and we have a drop-down feature where we've done this for different functions. There's 6,000 bots that have been created on our platform because people just found us. But let's just say a coach, right? And for a lot of people, they don't really know how to do prompt engineering. And what I'm about to show you is effectively the job of the future, which is how do you whisper to the AI for it to do the things that you want it to do, right? And so let's just say you are an AI coach for, Robert McNeil, a coach AI modeled after the human Robert McNeil, right? And here's some pre-filled things. Coach me through the topics I bring up. We put in certain things on the personality, or do you want it to be friendly? Do you want it to be helpful? And maybe you want to put things that are, business specific information. So Robert, for example, has a website. So it's Robert.
Yeah. www.drrob.com, I believe. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah,
So
that's
like,
one of
just
them.
imagine all this information that's here. I can just copy that, right?
Mhm.
Coaching philosophy, testimonials, phone address, right? And we allow you to kind of scrape websites, but if you just wanted to go through the basic version, right, and say, okay, I'm going to copy this. This is the information on my business, right? Phone number. Let's just say we pop that here. And then you create a greeting, right? What would you like me to coach you? It's okay, Dr. Rob here. And you put in a prompt, you hit submit, and now the chatbot's about to be created, right? So now you can start chatting with it. And, this is hosted on our website, but we also allowed a little embed code where you copy this code onto your website and you can have a chat widget there, right? So, Dr. Rob here, what can I coach me through? I need a life coach. Yeah. All right, so it's taking in the information we gave it already. It's having a conversation, and we go, okay, that's the first step, right? You could start a training process where you go, okay, well, Dr. Rob has hundreds of documents about his coaching philosophy that he wants to upload, right? And so he can do that and upload those files. I'm not going to show it here, or he could have it scrape his website, right?
Mhm.
And so let's just kind of skip straight into the, okay, well, maybe I don't have a strong web presence, but I just want a telephone number for people to be able to text so that they get this experience, right? So now I'm just going to go, okay, I can acquire a phone number, and let's just make it simple, right? And I'm going to select this telephone number and purchase it and connect it on our platform, right? Okay, so that number is now saved. I have all kinds of different numbers, but for anybody who's trying to follow along with this, all you have to do is go into our systems, test it out, and then upgrade to a plan, the pro plan, so that we can attach it to a telephone number. And now you see that that number was pre-filled, right? And it's attached to his bot now. So I'm going to go on my phone, and hopefully you guys can see this. But I'm going to text this telephone number, and it's going to respond the same way, the chat widget just responded. 3 600 0146.
And I think, in the future, what would be a really good, are you going to show it on your screen?
I'm going to try to connect it in the future.
Yeah.
But if you see, that's going to be tough for you guys to see.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's not going to show, but it's on text message that it's responding now, right? And so like now this next step for a lot of people, that voice agent is really important, and that's where Rob earlier this week was like, "Hey, she have the voice agent, and now I'm going to go through the process of connecting it to a voice agent." We use a third party called Bland, and there's a couple of different providers of this. There are voice AI technologies that kind of simplify a lot of the technical pieces. Interrupt time, thing like connecting it to that telephone number. But you see that the process is very similar, right? So first, I'm gonna go.
Do you want me to? Do you want me to? Here, I'm gonna. Hold on. Yeah, you want to show your screen again? Yeah.
Is it not showing my screen?
Hold on. And now it is. Now it is. There we go.
No, it is. Okay. So this is the Bland platform. It's almost like a parallel to what we have on Messages Improved. And by the way, Ryan can kind of tell you more about what his platform is, where where he's almost made this a little more white glove. And he layers some human services on top. But it is sometimes a technical challenge for people to, I'm working with two different platforms. Where do I change this? Where do I connect this? And it gets tough, right? But we wanted to show you kind of the component pieces at first, and then probably in our next call, we'll show you the almost like a white glove, easy, anybody can do this version. But I thought it was important to show you kind of the underlying technology.
Yeah, and the other thing, I mean, the next week we're going to be able to literally, it is going to be it's going to be even simpler. I mean, you're going to be able to go in, and anybody's going to be able to go in and just purchase a number, and then that number is going to be attached to voice and text, and it's going to be really, really seamless. And the other thing is I think next week we'll also be able to just text, using a text, a screen texting system like Go High Level or something like that, so that we can actually see the conversation happening. And then the voice, obviously, we'll be able to call. I mean, S will be able to call on his phone. And you can share by the way, you can share your phone, on your screen as an extra screen if you want.
Yeah. There's apps for it. It's a little hairy. I don't know if you guys can see on my screen now, but the number that we purchased, right? I've added into the Bland platform, right? This is the telephone number, right? Let's just call it Dr. Rob, right? And you see when I go configure this, so I've anybody can kind of go in there and get a telephone number. It's a little technical. People can message us on what that process is, because Bland, they want you to acquire the telephone number through them, right? Because we acquire our number through Twilio, who's almost like an aggregate that sits on top that leases these telephone numbers from the telecom operators, right? Like AT&T, T-Mobile, and Verizon. And you see that okay, so with this number, my process is usually, okay, whatever prompt that we had here, right? Now copy that same thing and pop it into the voice prompt, right?
Okay.
And I've literally just copied and pasted, that little summary, you are a coach modeled after human, and let's say opening sentences. Hi, Dr. Rob AI here. How can I help? Right? I save the change. So you did two things, which was the opening message and then the instruction for the AI. And now we should be able to call that telephone number.
Hi, Dr. Rob AI here. How can I help?
Hi, I'm looking for a life coach.
Awesome. I'd be happy to help you with that. What specifically are you looking to work on with a life coach? Is it career, relationships, or something else?
Actually, what's his telephone number?
You're looking for my number. That's 832-224-5394.
Okay. So it's able to look in that database and say, well, that's a human one, right? If we set this to copy and paste this as a transfer number, now we can have the AI transfer to human Rob when somebody wants a human, right? So, oh, sorry, it's still on the phone. I'm not sure whether you guys can kind of hear everything, right? But this is what it takes to make an AI live.
If I may, gentlemen, Dr. Rob, on a technical basis, it's like programming anything that we get engaged in. The real aspects of curiosity, obviously the level of comprehension that this will provide to the end user is second to none. The technical capabilities of both Ryan and S are second to none.
Right.
You are the equation that's missing. You're the missing part. There's nothing wrong here. There's nothing missing here. There's nothing that needs to be fixed. It needs to be filled with that personality. How do we display that? When you're engaging with this and you're putting your answers in, how you communicate to that end user, how they respond to your inquiries, your responses, how does it make them feel? Where do you want to take them?
Right,
What
right.
do they say about you? How do you set that table? That's, you know, in my opinion, from the consumer standpoint, their primary concern. These guys can knock it out of the park. From a technical basis, walk you through whatever you need to do, text, pictures, so on and so forth, loading this, you know. That's like, you know, anybody who learns Excel, right?
Right.
But you are what's important here. You're the only thing that's missing. The only complicated part of this in actuality is yourself. And that's the challenge. And
well,
that's the challenge we want to meet.
One of the things that I did is I actually had transcripts of about 10 of my one-on-one sessions. I used get this tool that S told me. I forget now, but I actually, you know, asked my clients, hey, listen, I'm going to be taping this, you know, just to see how we're going to go about enable with it. So now, so on top of that, now I uploaded those, the transcripts into the bot. So now it responds in kind like I do, right? And I'm also using this bot because I do mortgages, right? So I'm also using it like for mortgages. So what I plan to do for that one is to have a couple of my friends, right, act as people, and we're going to walk through the mortgage process with them and just be real natural with it. So it's kind of like, yes, I'm totally with you, Josh. It has to respond like I do. It has to have that sort of human touch to it. It just can't be like, yes, well, how do you feel today? Like that's not going to work. Like I will say something like, oh, for real? Really?
Now you got
right.
They'll say something different. I will say something, but that represents you, your personality, and those whom you bring to the table that will pay you for your services. They're attracted to you for whom you are.
Yes, sir. Yeah. Totally with you.
Yeah, and that's a good point. So we would call those shots. Like we would give, and you know, we would send those shots or examples to the database or upload it to the LLM so that it has a basic knowledge or a bigger or better picture with more color of what it is that how you communicate, what your process is, you know, how you do things. And so this is where, and we've talked about this on some of our live videos, you know, S and I, is that really the big players in this arena is like the Google, any Google, obviously, because they've got access to Google Drive where you've got all of your documents. They've got access. They've created Google Meet where you've recorded all of your meetings so that you can have it transcribed by Rev. By the way, is a great solution. REV. If you don't, I use that to transcribe all my videos. It's very easy. It does it in like minutes. You can do a human version, or you can pay less to do an AI version, which is kind of full-on Inception there. So I mean, it's probably for an hour-long conversation or hour-long video to transcribe it. I think it's like $3 or $4 or $5, something like that.
Oh, okay.
Totally worth it though, and because that is like those repositories of your knowledge is where you want. That's like, you know, gold mining, like going back in there, pulling those very strategic conversations that you have and putting them into the vector database, into, you know, upload it to the AI so that it's got that reference point. So it's got that, you're building that knowledge base. You're constantly building the knowledge base. And then, like S says, I like his analogy, like, and then the prompt is like the pep talk before the call. It's the pep talk before the sales call, you know, Josh, right? Where you're like, okay, so the prompt is like before every call.
Drew, you're funneling, if I may.
Yeah.
So funneling.
Yeah. The agent is constantly referring to that pep talk to identify what to say or how to say it on that, on that call that it's having at any given time. And the knowledge base is that overarching knowledge that it's got for all calls, and then there's even some fine tuning that would happen, after the fact, or fine tuning. I always forget what you call it.
It's reinforcement learning.
Reinforcement learning,
Yeah.
So it's post hoc. It's after the fact. So that's like, it's not the pep talk before. It's after the fact. You go in, and S's system is great for that. I mean, I like his system. It's, you've got the thumbs up, thumbs down for each sentence. Where you can literally give it feedback. Post hoc. You can give the agent feedback post hoc. So that's the way that we're going to be, and you're going to be really making it more like Dr. Rob or more like Josh. And Josh, with your experience in sales, this is what we're experiencing right now. It's like, who is that number one salesperson at at any of these big firms? Let's create an agent of his conversations so that we can replicate that top salesperson in the organization and have the agent behave the same way.
Yeah, I love that.
Are you able to see my screen, or do you have to
yeah, you just gotta let me know. I'll tell you here. Yeah, hold on.
Okay, because I can show you guys that right now, right?
Yep.
What that process is, right?
Go ahead.
So this, again, it's the prompt. This is what we entered in. You are a coach of AI. You are the coach AI modeled after, Robert McNeil, right? So this is the little pep talk. And when we talk about, uploading your history of conversations, this is what Robert did with his coaching bot, was upload a bunch of those transcripts, right? Mm-hmm. And then there's the piece that, Ryan called fine tuning, but it's, the technical term is reinforcement learning from human feedback. And this is the piece that it's almost a manual process of training a person. So just think when you hired somebody, right? And they're green and they might be the smartest, Princeton, Harvard graduate that has all the knowledge in the world, right? You still, for them to be a seasoned salesperson or employee, you still have to go through years of those transcripts, right? And then actually watch it, have a call with somebody, and then go back and say, hey, look, when you said this thing, I wouldn't have said that. I would have said this instead, right? And so I'm showing you the conversations that I just had. I was trying to show on my phone, right, on SMS, right? I said hi. The bot said, hey there, how's it going? What's on your mind today? And I said, I'm thinking of changing my job. Any suggestions, right? And Robert might say, okay, absolutely, that's a big decision. What's prompting you to change? He might not say that, right? He might say, okay, let's talk about, and this is where it's a manual process where you go in and you go, okay, what you just said there, not great. I would have just said, I hear you.
Right. Or, what do you do?
What do you do?
Right. My job is it's like, what do you do? Right. Yeah. Right. And so that'll, because like the way it was trained, right? It's going to have a bunch of conversations that I may have a transcript there of somebody that does the same thing that this person does, and it may be going across the same line. So now it'll have some, like, a background of it, right? So somebody says, I'm a financial advisor and I spoke with a financial advisor, and it might say something like, are you having problems with, sales or customer service or what have you, right? And they might say, no, I'm actually having a problem with this, but it's something to get them to open up, right? So.
And these are things where I'm sure, Rob, you've gone in and said, hey, look, like the bot, it took me a couple of minutes to build, right? I have a foundation there. It's a green employee. It's not me yet. I gave it the conversations, but it still doesn't say things like the way I would say it, right? This is where you get to start changing you get to rewire that employee, right? And go, let me look back at the conversations you had, and we always recommend to clients, make it live, right? Have conversations with your customers, because you want to look at that 100 and now have perfect visibility on every conversation that has come into your business, right? So I've said for a while that it was my morning coffee, right? We have a bot that qualifies, that tells people, what our business does, right? And I look at these transcripts every day and I go, wow, I get to take 10 minutes while I'm like sipping my morning coffee and just read everything, that all the interactions with clients and potential clients that my business had. And then I get to go in and say, hey, when you said that thing wrong, I think I want to change it, right? And just go in and start molding that behavior that way. So in a way, it's almost like the perfect employee, which there's a manual process of getting it to be like you, right? But like you only do it once, right? And if you kind of had the discipline to say, okay, every day I'm going to look at all the things like my AI employee says to leads that come in, and I'm going to keep molding it every day so that it really does start sounding like me. You can do that, and you do it once, and all of this is saved, right?
Dr. Rob, if you do this correct, this is your legacy.
Yeah. We're still in the process. Trust me, we're still in the process. But I'm liking it. It's fun.
Yeah. So I think, the question that I, as a digital marketer, like that I would ask is, okay, so where are you going to use it? Like, how are you going to plumb this thing? Because we got a plumber in our agency, Hamad, that if we didn't have Hamad, the agent would be only like maybe half as effective, or maybe even less than that. And so once it's created and it's great. And by the way, I would suggest that if you can, I don't know if you can put in the comments like the number, if you can, or maybe you can text it over to Dr. Rob, or maybe he's got it already just from taking it down. Try to get it to Dr. Rob so that he can like, so that you can call it and start texting it. And then, I don't know if you can log in to, I don't know, ask if Dr. Rob's been given a like access to his if he's been given access to his account on TextMay. But I would encourage you to go in there so that you can actually see, and go like with us in the future. I want to like my vision is to have like, we can have 10 people on these calls. I would like to have 10 different people on this call, and everybody go through the process with us step by step. Okay, go here first. Everybody go there. Okay, when everybody's done that, we're going to go to the next step. Everybody there? Okay, great. Now go here. You've put in your information. Now go here.
Right.
Press this button. Put in your prompt, and then by the end of it, everybody's going to be at the same step, and everybody's going to have created their own agent. And that's, I think, by doing it, you're going to have an understanding of a much better understanding of how it works, and then how to change it, how to modify it and make it better. So that's the goal in the future. And to my back to my question is where are you going to use it? Because that's the thing that we found is absolutely critical, is making sure that the proper plumbing is in place. Meaning, well, first of all, are you going to add it to your, like, if you're running ads? I don't know if you're running like Google pay-per-click ads or Google local service ads, or if you're on Facebook or Twitter or any of those type of places. Because what you can do now, what we recommend is, while you're in the learning phase of this, that you don't have it go first line initially, that you give yourself the first 20 seconds to answer the phone for all of your inbound calls, and then you give the last 10 seconds to the AI so that it can so that you're like slowly breaking it in. You're not like going all in right off the bat. That's the suggestion that we give, so that you can properly have the voice trained and train it up so it's not taking over everything. And so that's part of the plumbing. That, and then the other thing is just the messaging. I would put that everywhere that you can. You can put the embed code on your website, Josh. I mean, for any website you've created, I mean, where somebody can have, it's not just a form. It's not just it's actually having a conversation. This is how I met S. I went to his website. I after I found him, top on Google, and then I went there and I had a chat with the agent for about 4 or 5 minutes, answering all my questions, because it had the knowledge base like we're talking about. It had all the context of S's TextMay company and what I was looking for. I was like, okay, yeah, now I'm ready to schedule an appointment. And it's like, okay, let's schedule an appointment. So it dropped his calendar in, I scheduled it, and that's the way that I would definitely do it on I would put this live on your website. There's an embed code that you'll get, so you can get that chat functionality on the side. And then for like local service ads, where you can take message leads, I mean, it's a no-brainer, because what we see, and the data is very new and it's amazing. I was just talking to a client yesterday that's a criminal attorney, and they run Google local service ads. So if you type in any business name like criminal attorney near me, you'll see the Google screen or Google guaranteed, which is local service ads, show up at the top, and it's got the green checkbox. Well, there's two options for a business to get leads from that section. It's either phone call or messages. And what we found is when we put the AI agent on the messaging part of it, it immediately allows that business to get a significant 50, 60, 70, 80, 100% increase in the number of leads that they get from that platform. And everybody wants those leads, because everybody that knows Google local service ads, they know that they're much cheaper than pay-per-click or anything else. So this solves a real problem for businesses. So I would encourage you to use it in those type of places.
If I may, think in conjunction with an organic page one ranking, which is going to give you that credibility, or right off the bat in the eyes of the consumer, right? Google's Yellow Pages is highly revered in terms of its search value. We know we're going to get what we want if we hit page one of Google, maybe page two, maybe half of page three, but that page one we're going to hit what our target. So with that organic, if your SEO is done correctly, and you are regional, perhaps nationwide, that's feasible as well. But that organic search result in conjunction with their program is an explosive perception of credibility in the eyes of the consumer. And if you're looking at a 60 or 70% increase in leads, one would anticipate that to be somewhat higher, in my opinion, with that combination.
Yeah. I mean, what about 1,000% increase? Because that's actually what we experienced firsthand. If you Google right now, chat with a coach, you get our chatbot on there. That's a life coach. And this is with Rob, we've been talking for a while, where I'm like, Rob, take that page, because 2 years from now, they're not going to find Tony Robbins. They're going to find that page, because what somebody goes, when they type in chat with the coach, right? They want to be able to chat right there. And if your website has that chat widget in there, that's a life coach. That's like, okay, let's begin your first session. What do you do for a living? Right? Then they stay on that page. And across our website, before we put in that chatbot, people would stay on a page for 30 seconds. Once we put the chatbot in, they stayed for over 2 minutes. And that's how we ranked to the top of Google. Like, we killed the organic results, because our website traffic went up 10 times. So it's 1,000%
with that low bounce rate. So that
with that low bounce rate, because what does Google think? They're like, well, somebody said, I want to chat with the coach. They got to the page. They stayed on there for 20 minutes. There's some of these conversations that go on for 60 minutes. And this is part of my morning coffee, where I'm like, and Google doesn't know what to do with that, right? Because they go, oh, they searched this. And maybe we might have been page 2 and the 20th result, like early on, right? But somebody clicked that, stayed on there for 20 minutes and never left. Google probably said they found exactly what they're looking for. They don't bounce.
Yeah. Well, this is what happened with me. This is why I found you. I mean, I stayed on the page for 5 minutes, and Google sees that, and they see that time on page. And that's one of the ways to actually get an increase in your rankings on Google, is to just increase your time on page.
May I, sir? With Google, if I just advance on that explanation. So Google is the Yellow Pages. Google, like the Yellow Pages, wants you to sign up again next year. They want to keep you coming back. The only way they can create the value for shareholders is that with that redundancy. Those, you and I and everybody else, coming back and coming back. They know the importance of that consumer's successful inquiry is of critical importance to them. If they aren't finding what they're looking for of a deep level of interest and value, Oh, I'm going to go somewhere else if Google can't provide that to me. That's why that retention that they're discussing, that engagement rate reduces that bounce rate and gives you huge value in Google's algorithm for their own selfish purposes.
Yeah, I agree. And by the way, if anybody wants to test that number, it's on the screen, so you guys can test it. This is something we'll do in the future as well. Is that, once we create one, we'll pick one person out probably to actually create it, and then just put it on the screen for people to bombard Dr. Rob.
No worries.
Or his agent. That's
No,
the beauty of it, right? Is that
hey, we need that. That'll be for the training. That'll help. That'll help train it, right? That'll help with that. But to see how he responds, right? Either thumbs up or thumbs down.
Yeah, you want everybody to test it out, and then we'll have somebody that we can just all go and test it out, and then we'll see the transcripts. Which, by the way, that's the other thing is that the only three things that we deliver in the beginning is calls were answered. We'll notify you when it happens, and we'll take the information down. That's the three deliverables for our agents in the beginning. That's it. Because I have to say, and I learned the hard way. I mean, I learned because I was like, oh my God, this is amazing. We can do this and we can do that. And we can do, and I'm like, oh my God, we can do all these things. And it's great. But you know what? We need to set the proper expectations in the beginning and just get it to go live and test it with those three deliverables. That's it. Once we do that and you feel comfortable for, I'd say 90% of the phone calls and text messages that they're happening the way that you want, which should happen in like a week to 2 weeks, as long as you're getting like maybe 30 or 40 calls or in text messages, it should be trained, really. I mean, it's really all it should take. Then you can talk about, and this is what we're doing in our software. Just this morning, we're able to identify and actually look at the percentages of calls that are actually converted into bookings and or converted from AI initially answered versus human initially answered. So we can give the data to you, which is those are the really, if I'm the consumer and I really think about it, those are the only two things that matter to me. Is the AI going to book calls at the same or similar rate to a human answering the phone initially?
Exactly.
If the answer is yes, then we've got a good case for turning the AI on potentially first line for you. You know what I'm saying?
Good case to give somebody a pink slip the next day.
Yeah. And now,
One way to look at it.
Well, and this is coming up in our business. I mean, like it's like we're literally, I mean, I've got a bunch of people in our company that listen to phone calls, and what we can do and what I'm encouraging my team to find out is, can we have a percentage of those calls listened to by AI, and can the AI do as good of a job at identifying the outcome of the call? Because that's what we do for our clients that we do local service ads for is, we give them insight into any opportunities for improvement, so to speak. In other words, was the call handled the way that it really needed to be, or can it be done better? And and Josh, you are well aware of this in the sales field. I mean, if there's a opportunity for improvement, then we want to forward that call over to the intake manager so that they can take corrective action. And so that's part of the service that we deliver for local service ads. And, in addition, we're just having the AI listen for the outcome. What I just mentioned, was the call converted, or was the lead converted? Was it booked? And then matching up those numbers. And that's really the next iteration of what we're doing is building an agent to really crunch the numbers, the KPIs, so that we can really, identify when we create an agent that's like, the super salesperson Josh, and compare it to, maybe, salesperson Ryan, and see like which ones convert better. I mean, this is where we're headed eventually. Is like,
And that's an opportunity for everybody who's kind of early adopter on this, right? Because the way to think about it is, if you adopt this first, train up yourself a version of you that's really good at doing something, even though you're a business owner and you're like, wow, I just made this so that I don't have to hire that next employee, but I put in a ton of hours to train this thing. Maybe I could be selling that to the next person that does exactly what I do and make a business out of this. And by the way, if you think AI is going to take over in the next 5 years, which, you know, there's a lot of industries that's taking over very rapidly, this is how you do it. You start with yourself, you build an agent, and then you see the experience, you see the conversion, how helpful it is to you. And then you go down the street, you know, the next convention you go to, every person you're talking to, hey, chat with my AI. I don't even nobody. Personally, I don't even talk on the phone anymore. We used
Lunch.
to have 100 people.
Get there first, Dr. Rob, and think of the press.
Yeah, I mean,
Hey, I'm sorry about that, folks. Yes.
so
Think of the press.
you know, we had somebody ask yesterday that was like, how do I spruce up my resume? And we're like, no, we're giving you nukes to hunt with. Go out and provide business. You have people in your family, right, that own businesses, right, or somebody down the street at the convenience store, whatever it is. You're like, hey, I'm going to put an AI into your business. Will you let me? You know, do it for free at first, right? Now that we taught you how to do it for free at first, and then provide that value, and then let them refer you know, their friend to you. And that's a possibility with how simple it was to create this, right? So now it's up to how creative the early adopters are for spreading this.
Yeah. And so we're going to do this weekly at the same time at 1 Eastern. And if anybody is watching this video, you know, just leave a comment below. We'll start the conversation with answering questions. And then we're going to look for our next victims, you know, whoever.
There we go.
Yeah. I mean,
As
so,
are you.
yeah, I mean, whoever that is, we're just going to keep doing this. And, you know, I appreciate Josh, you and Dr. Rob getting on. Unfortunately, it looks like it didn't stream live, so it just stayed on the platform, but I can stream it live. I'll stream it live later, later today. But you know, it was, so, you know, we're working through the kinks here of how the technology works, and how we're going to do this in the future. But I appreciate you guys getting on. I've got another call in 4 minutes, with an AI accelerator program to learn more about, so we stay at the tip of the spear. So, any questions that you guys have, let us know before we get off.
I'm pretty good. Good.
Well, I really appreciate you guys getting on. So until next
you.
time.
Yeah.
Pleasure, gentlemen.
Thanks.
Pleasure. Nice meeting all of you.
Nice to meet you, sir.
Yeah, Josh.
Take care,
Pleasure.
everybody. Thank you.
Pleasure, Ryan.
All right. Thanks.
S, be good.
See you
All
guys.
right. See you later.